Hi, thanks for joining me. The story today is about attention, and specifically it's about a gentleman who is attending one of our Living in Passion leadership retreats, and he's there because he noticed that there's a gap in the amount of intimacy that he's having in his life, and he's there to have more of it. This is a really important topic because it's so easy to close this gap that we sometimes walk around thinking it's much harder than it actually is. And all it takes is a shifting of our attention that's quite easy to do. And I love helping people do that small step, and it makes a big difference in their life. So this story takes place at a leadership retreat. And this gentleman is sitting in the circle, and he is noticing the way I'm asking questions, and he's noticing the way people are responding, and he's feeling a little sad, and he's getting a little frustrated because he's noticing that what he doesn't have in his life is what's missing is his ability to take up more space between him and other people, so he can have that closeness, he can have those relationships, he can make that difference. And I noticed him a little frustrated, and I asked him, what's going on? You seem to have gotten a little bit despondent over there. And he said, well, I just noticed the way you ask questions, and it feels so invasive, it feels so rude, and I want to get mad at you, but then I noticed that people are having these really beautiful experiences by being seen. I asked him this question. I said, when you're sitting in front of people, what are you noticing? And he looked at me and he said, I don't know. He said, normally I get a little nervous, and I notice I'm holding back, and I don't think people want to hear from me, and I think I'm going to offend people, so I don't really say too much. And I asked him, I said, well, tell me, what's your current definition of attention? He goes, well, it's almost something that has to be narrowed, so I don't offend anybody, I don't hurt anybody. I said, let's try this. I said, how about you take time during the rest of the retreat and you practice asking people questions about themselves, and ask a little bit more that you're comfortable with so you can get a little practice. And at the end of the retreat, you're going to let us know how it goes. So at the end of the retreat, I asked him, how did it go asking people about themselves and asking a little bit more personal questions? And he goes, it was really frightening. And I said, well, do you really want to know the truth of what it was like? And he said, okay. I said, well, how about we ask everyone else? And sure enough, everyone else in the circle had the greatest time because they really felt his heart. And everybody in the room started giving him that feedback that what they were missing from the whole rest of the weekend was his heart. And that they wanted him to ask more questions. They wanted his interest. They wanted his desire to get closer. And he thought that being a good friend meant leaving that out. And through a group experience, they actually helped him see that friendship is about leaning in, about getting closer to people, and taking the risk to ask more questions because you care. And I turned back to this gentleman and I said, so what do you think of a new definition of attention that you can use in your life? A definition that would include attending to everyone around you and everything around you with your heart that leads the way. And I followed up with him afterward, and he's now in a relationship. He's having more fun with people at work, and he's creating more impact in his job because he began to close the gap between himself and other people by using his attention instead of his perception. Now that you've heard this expanded definition of attention, I would invite you to go into your life and notice where you have a perception, and perhaps move that perception aside and increase your attention, increase your desire to get closer to someone, and notice the results. I'd love to hear how it goes.